In this episode, I put more focus into my early acceleration, doing short resisted sprints and repeat block starts. You're watching Project 21. Over the past 3 months, I've constantly been trying to find the perfect warm-up and cool-down routine that works perfectly for me, and I think in what you're going to see today for the warm-up, I finally found it, and I'm still currently working on the cool-down part. But for today's Tuesday session, the focus is on short resisted sprints, no more than 20 meters, which I eventually shortened down to just 5 steps. Thursday's session, I was supposed to do a few sprint float sprints, but I only ended up doing one because when the track gets cold, it gets really hard. And pair that with my slightly changed technique, which isn't really optimized yet, it put a lot of pressure on my shins. So I opted just to keep it short, focus on my force efficiency, stick with some acceleration stuff. So I did block starts. So again, no training on Saturday because I went to UA next for another testing, which you're not going to see in this video, but wait 2 more days and it'll be at the end of my gym video. But other than that, Tuesday's session was pretty good, some resisted sprints. I realized like near the start of the session, I'm trying to fix my force deficiency and I'm doing 20-meter sprints, and then I was doing 10-meter sprints. And then when I did a few of the 10-meter sprints, I realized I find it much easier to move after about 5 or so steps. So in my head, I was like, my force deficiency isn't in the steps 5 steps and onwards, but the first 5. So just focus on that. So for the rest of the entire session, I just kept doing 5-step sprints, and I even do that to this day, like weeks from now, because I'm recording this late. But I just kept doing those again and again and again, and then I was like, let's see how the mechanics look if I do some block starts or just 4-point starts. They were all right. The first one naturally isn't going to be that good, so I haven't been in the position for a while. Even though I'm doing resisted sprints, it throws you off, because I did a start mid-session unresisted, and my body just flew and my leg didn't know how to recover, and that taught me that my body is stronger than it makes it seem it is. But I don't think my body's ready to release that type of force, because when it has clear resistance, it will do it, and it will do it in a fast twitch manner. But when it thinks there's going to be heavy resistance, it will also do it in a fast twitch manner, which is something I'm probably going to try and bring into some of my competitions. Have really heavy resistance, someone pulling me back, and then I just try and do like 5 steps. I feel like that would be a good thing to do, like literally right before I go to compete, because then my body would just get me out of blocks. And I don't care if I stumble out of blocks. I'd much rather stumble out of blocks and be ahead than not stumble out of blocks and then have to do all the hard work myself, which I'm doing regardless. Because if I stumble, it's not going to be a crazy stumble. I've stumbled before, and I'm not going to fall all over. But if I can just have a slight stumble and just keep going from there, I know I'll probably be fine. The only issue that's probably going to end up happening is my body might realize I came up too low, and it doesn't think I have the strength to withstand that, so I might just end up popping up, but I don't mind that. Then for Thursday session, it was originally supposed to be me doing sprint flow sprints, which I really wanted to do, because for the final sprint portion and half of the flow, I'd say, I was trying to incorporate a new technique for my upright mechanics, which I've been playing around with for the last week and a half. And I was doing it, but it was just hurting my shins, because every single time I sprint, my leg would come through and then just do that, and then I'd sweep it back, which was putting all that pressure onto my shins. My body didn't like it, nothing I could do, so we had to pack up. But I already knew from experience that when the track gets hard, I can still do early acceleration work. So I was like, I'm not gonna go home. This shin issue is probably temporary, which I would say it was. So I was like, let me just keep doing accelerations instead. I did some of those, and I was quite happy with them. That I just kept playing around with the technique. I'm really trying to figure out how to get out of the blocks hard on that first step, and then switch really well for that second step. I feel like, yeah, the first 5 steps on my sprint are the worst, but those first 2 are probably the worst of all of them. And if I can just fix those, it'd be better, because whenever people are pulling me, they just say that every single step I take, it gets gradually harder to stop me from moving, which means those first 2-3 steps would be the worst naturally. And something else I also noticed is when I get a really good first step, my second step is really poor. There was one part on Thursday session where I literally did long step out of blocks, and then just like that much of a gap on the second step, then long steps for every other step. So that's like the last thing I need to make sure I do naturally, which is my second step. Sometimes it just wants to be short. I just need to make sure that it's long. And if I can do that, then this block start would probably be able to happen like 99% of the time, like my old block start. And then from there, we can just start to add and probably maybe even remove some bad stuff from the block start, just to beef it up and make it as good as it possibly can be. Because my coach thinks I'm not punching out of blocks as much as I could be, which just means I could be getting better hip extension. I'm going to try to do that, but I'm not going to focus on the hip extension right now. I want to focus on getting the blocks as good as they can be, or get the average blocks as good as they can be. Because I have some times where I have good blocks, some days where I have bad blocks. I want to make the bad block days as little as possible, so that most of the days are just good blocks. Like how I believe it was either April or May, where I'd be doing block starts and every single one was exactly how I wanted to push off. Was I getting out of the blocks as effectively as I am now? No. But was it how I wanted to be coming out of the blocks every single time in that specific moment with my current skill sets? Yes. So if we can get that to happen with this, I'll be very happy, and then we can start to add more stuff. The issue with the block start and the early acceleration right now is I've got so much to work on and none of it subconscious. So if I can make some of it subconscious, then the issues with the block start would be less, and I can just go out there and start actually adding just one thing and then add that in, and another thing and add that in. I feel like other than being able to get more push out of the blocks on the first step, that is probably what's gonna be the make or break between whether I can run like 6-8 or faster, in my opinion. Because the block start I have now, I believe, is good enough to be running 6-8. It's just the first 2-3 steps are just not powerful. They're not as powerful as they need to be, and if I can boost that up, I believe I could be running 6-8. I don't know what I'm gonna do, considering the fact that I'm leaving uni. Well, I have left uni now, but I was leaving uni the day after the Thursday session, and I'm not going to be paying for a track. I'm not going to be paying for the gym, so I don't know exactly how I'm going to make everything work, but I'm going to keep working on everything to my best of my abilities, so that when I get to the 29th, I can actually go out there and compete and PB again. I do believe I was supposed to run a sub 7 at Luca. We just were a bit rusty. If I go out there again, do everything up, I can probably do it. I think I can. I could probably just move a 10th again. 7:14 with bad blocks, fix the blocks a bit. 7:04 fatigued with better blocks. I feel like if I wasn't fatigued, or maybe I could get my blocks exactly where I wanted them to be, we probably could have ran another 6:94, well, not a first one, but I'll just remove another 10th again. So we're gonna go out there, next competition, keep training, and then see how things go for me.